Have you ever thought of someone, and just moments later, your phone lights up with their name? That quiet gasp you feel, that mix of surprise and wonder, is not coincidence. It's connection. Everything in this universe is speaking to everything else through an invisible language, the language of quantum entanglement. When I first learned about this in physics, it sounded impossible. Two particles, once connected, continue to influence each other instantly, even when separated by billions of miles. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. But to the universe, it's not spooky at all. It's natural. It's how energy communicates, and that same phenomenon, that mysterious link between particles, exists between us, between your heart and mine, between the stars and your breath, between the thought you have tonight and the reality that unfolds tomorrow. In this web of existence, you are both the observer and the participant. You are not separate from the field you live in. You are woven into it. When one part of you changes, a belief, a vibration, a way of seeing, the entire field begins to move with you. That's not poetry, that's physics. You see, quantum entanglement isn't just a scientific experiment. It's a mirror of consciousness. The universe is showing us that everything we do, everything we feel, sends ripples through the fabric of reality. When you smile, the field around you lights up. When you forgive, you rewrite invisible equations that shape your life. When you raise your vibration, when you choose love over fear, you literally shift the probability of what can happen next. Pause for a moment and breathe that in. Your life is not separate from the cosmos. You are the cosmos, becoming aware of itself through a human story. Imagine two drops of water touching for just a moment on the surface of a river. Even after they drift apart, they remain part of the same flow. That's how energy works. Once you connect with someone, something, or even a thought, that connection remains in the unseen. It's not bound by space or time. It hums in the background, waiting for your attention to awaken it again. This is why when you think of someone with deep emotion, they can feel it. This is why when you shift your inner state, the world around you starts reflecting new possibilities. Because consciousness, your consciousness, is not a local event in your brain. It's a field. Physicists call it the unified field. Mystics call it oneness. Différents langages. Same truth. Every atom, every thought, every heartbeat, all vibrating within one endless sea of intelligence. You are swimming in it right now. And here's the beauty. This field is not responding to what you say you want. It responds to what you are. It listens not to words, but to vibration. You can say, "I am peaceful." Yet if your energy is restless, the field mirrors restlessness. You can say, "I am abundant." But if deep down you feel lack, the universe hears lack. This isn't punishment, it's coherence. The field can only reflect the frequency you emit. So instead of trying to control the outer world, shift the signal you're sending. Quiet the mind. Breathe through the heart. Feel the energy of the life you wish to live, not someday, but right now. This is how you begin to entangle with your highest reality. I often imagine it like tuning an old radio. When you move the dial, the static slowly turns clear. At first you hear fragments, then music, then the full song. That's what it feels like when your vibration aligns with your true self. The noise of fear fades, and reality begins to harmonize with you. You start noticing synchronicities, small signs that the universe is responding. You think of peace, and a calmness follows you through the day. You think of gratitude, and people show up who reflect it back to you. None of this is random. These are entangled outcomes, the echoes of your own consciousness, moving through the quantum field. Scientists once thought observation was a passive act, but in quantum physics, observation changes the observed. Likewise, when you look at your life with judgment, you freeze it in place. When you look with love, you give it permission to transform. This is the great secret. You are not here to fix reality. You are here to tune it. Reality bends toward awareness. When you shift your vibration from fear to trust, from control to surrender, from effort to allowing, the entanglement reconfigures, new doors open. Old patterns dissolve. People who once mirrored your pain now mirror your peace. And you begin to realize it was never the world that needed to change. It was the energy you brought into it. Think of it like the strings of a guitar. When one string vibrates, another nearby begins to hum in harmony. That's how your life responds to your inner song. You don't need to strum every string manually. Just tune your heart, and the melody finds you. This is why true transformation feels effortless. It's not forced. It's not trying to make something happen. It's what unfolds when your inner frequency matches the version of reality that already exists in the quantum field. There are infinite versions of you existing right now. Joyful you, peaceful you, healed you. When you align your vibration with one, you collapse the wave and step into that version. This is not fantasy. This is quantum coherence. So next time you think of someone and they appear, or you dream of a place and then stumble upon it, remember, you are not summoning magic. You are experiencing entanglement. You are part of the same symphony that moves galaxies and stirs the tides. The mind wants to analyze it. The ego wants to control it. But consciousness, pure awareness, only wants to feel it, to dance with it. You don't need to chase synchronicity. You become it. You don't need to control the outcome. You align with it. And when you do, life begins to unfold in rhythm with something greater than logic, something that has always known your name. Everything is connected. Every thought is a thread. Every emotion, a pulse that moves through the whole. When you breathe with awareness, you're breathing with the universe itself. So soften your grip on how things should be. Let the river carry you. Let the quantum field show you what happens when you stop forcing and start allowing, because the moment you change within, the entire network responds instantly, silently, beautifully. And that is how quantum entanglement shifts your reality. 1. Quantum entanglement, when two become one. There's a quiet beauty in knowing that once two things have truly met, they never really part. That is the essence of quantum entanglement. Two particles, once connected, remain linked across infinite space. When one moves, the other responds instantly. No signal travels between them. Not time delay. No physical bridge. Yet somehow, they know. They feel each other. In the language of science, this is called non-local correlation. But in the language of the soul, it's remembrance. It's the echo of unity that hums beneath everything that seems separate. Imagine this. Two souls meet in this vast universe. They share a glance, a moment, a vibration. Something passes between them that words can't hold. Then life moves them apart. Miles grow. Years pass. Yet when one falls silent in grief, the other feels a sudden ache. When one begins to heal, the other senses peace. Like two strings of a single instrument, they continue to resonate, no matter the distance. That's quantum entanglement, not only in particles of light, but in hearts, in memories, in consciousness itself. In physics, when two particles interact and then drift apart, their states remain entangled. If one spins clockwise, the other spins counterclockwise no matter how far they go. It's as though they share an invisible thread across the cosmos, one that no force can break. Einstein, puzzled by this, called it spooky action at a distance. But perhaps it isn't spooky at all. Perhaps it's simply the universe whispering a truth that's older than time. Nothing real is ever lost. Everything that has touched remembers. In our human lives, we feel this all the time, though we rarely give it the name of physics. Have you ever felt someone thinking of you before they called, or dreamed of a person you haven't seen in years, only to meet them the next day, By chance, we call it intuition, coincidence, fate. But underneath, it's the same quantum thread that binds the stars and the atoms together. Two beings once connected will always exist as one wave, dancing in two places. The heart, after all, is not bound by geography. The mind, not limited by the skull. You can sit quietly in your room and send a wave of love to someone on the other side of the planet, and somehow, their day feels a little lighter. You may never know the mechanics of it, but the universe does. The field listens. When we strip away the poetry, what remains is a profound simplicity. Connection is not created, it is remembered. From the quantum level to the level of human experience, we are all parts of one continuous field of awareness. When you truly see another person, not their body, not their story, but the being beneath you, are seeing yourself reflected in another frequency. That recognition, that spark of, I know you, is entanglement made visible. It's consciousness acknowledging itself through another form. Once, during a time of deep loneliness, I remember sitting in silence, trying to make sense of absence. The people I loved were far away. The warmth of connection felt dim. Then, without reason, I felt a calm spread through my chest, like someone, somewhere, was thinking of me. There was no proof, no message, but I knew. Something within me recognized that connection isn't dependent on proximity. It's not even dependent on words. It exists in the quiet, knowing that we are never truly apart. Quantum entanglement reminds us of this truth through science, that what has once been joined cannot be unjoined. Energy doesn't sever, it transforms. Relationships may shift form. People may move through different chapters of life. But the energy once exchanged, love, kare, shared awareness, continues to ripple across the unseen. Picture two lanterns floating down a river at night. They drift away from each other, carried by the current, but their flames are born from the same spark. Each glow is distinct, yet both arise from one fire. The farther they go, the more their reflections merge upon the same surface of water. That is the story of all creation. We are the lanterns, the river, and the flame itself. Quantum entanglement isn't teaching us something new. It's reminding us of what we already sense in our bones, that love, thought, and awareness are not confined by distance. They operate on a frequency that defies the logic of space and time. When two entities become one, when two souls truly see each other, a bridge forms that can outlast form itself. This isn't romantic in the sentimental sense. It's spiritual physics. It's the recognition that the essence of connection doesn't fade. It expands. We carry the energy of every connection within us. The mother who held her child still feels that heartbeat years later. The friend you once laughed with still moves somewhere in your field of memory. Even those who hurt us remain woven in, teaching us through contrast, through expansion. Nothing disappears. It only changes vibration. Science has begun to confirm what mystics have always known. The universe is one vast web of entanglement, where every point touches every other. You are not an isolated observer in a cold cosmos. You are the field, looking at itself through human eyes. Every time you love, forgive, or understand, you strengthen that field. Every time you see through judgment and return to compassion, the signal between you and the universe becomes clearer. Entanglement shows us that separation is an illusion, a necessary dream for consciousness to experience itself, but a dream nonetheless. So the next time you miss someone who's far away, close your eyes. Feel the warmth that rises in your chest when you think of them. That's entanglement. That's the invisible pulse that crosses all barriers. It doesn't need words. It doesn't need proof. When two beings have touched in truth, even for a moment, they carry the signature of each other forever. You may call it love. You may call it memory. The universe calls it coherence. And maybe that's all awakening really is, the slow remembrance that we have never been to. In this great ocean of existence, we are all droplets of the same infinite wave, each reflecting the other, each feeling the other, each moving in rhythm with the silent music that holds the stars in place. That, in its quiet, undeniable simplicity, is how two become one. Two, from the laboratory to the heart, entanglement in everyday life. There's a quiet magic in those small moments, the kind you can't explain but can't deny either. You think of someone you haven't spoken to in years, and suddenly your phone lights up with their name. You hum an old melody, and the next song on the radio is the very one that once carried your tears. You walk into a place you've never been before, and it feels strangely familiar, as if your energy arrived there before your body did. Science calls these coincidences, but the heart knows better. These are not random accidents of time. They are the subtle ripples of entanglement vibrations, crossing through the invisible fabric that connects all things. Quantum physics once belonged to laboratories, to the sharp minds peering through equations and instruments. But what it revealed is far more intimate than any chalkboard or microscope can contain. It tells us that everything in existence is connected through a field, a web that doesn't recognize distance. When one particle shifts, its twin responds instantly, no matter how far apart they are. And if this is true for particles of light, why not for human hearts? Why not for the thoughts, emotions, and silent prayers we send into the world each day? You see, entanglement doesn't stop at the boundary of science. It spills into the realm of experience, where physics meets poetry. Every time you think of someone with genuine care, you send a wave through the field. That wave travels, unseen but unmistakable, through the space between you and somewhere, perhaps halfway across the planet, that person feels a sudden warmth in their chest, the faint, inexplicable sense that they are not alone. This is not fantasy. It's resonance, the same principle that allows two tuning forks of the same note to vibrate in harmony when only one is struck, the same invisible dance that keeps the moon and tides in sync, that allows flocks of birds to turn mid-air as if choreographed by a single breath. When consciousness touches consciousness, there is no distance, only response. In the lab, entanglement can be measured. In life, it can only be felt. It happens in the pause, before you call someone, sensing that they're already reaching for the phone. It happens in the stillness of dawn, when you wake from a dream of someone dear, and later learn they were thinking of you at that same hour. It happens in the trembling space between grief and comfort, when you feel your loved one's presence long after they've gone. Science describes it as correlated behavior between particles. The heart experiences it as meaning, as a soft whisper from the universe that says, "You are connected." When two people share a deep bond, they synchronize more than emotions. Their brain waves, heart rhythms, even their breathing patterns begin to align. Studies have shown that when one person feels gratitude or compassion, the heart coherence of the other begins to shift, even without physical contact. This isn't mysticism. It's measurable energy. But long before the data existed, we already knew. Mothers who wake seconds before their child cries in another room, lovers who sense each other's sadness without words, friends who text, "Are you okay?" at the exact moment your world feels heavy. These are not coincidences. They are echoes through the quantum field, gentle reminders that our lives are woven together by threads finer than light. When I look back at my own life, I see these patterns everywhere. Years ago, during a season of deep confusion, I began journaling each night, questions, hopes, fragments of thought. One evening, I wrote, "If the universe can hear me, send me a sign of alignment." The next morning, an old friend I hadn't spoken to in a decade sent a message that began with the words, "You came to my mind last night, and I felt I had to reach out." She couldn't have known what I'd written, but something in the field did. Something alive, listening, and responsive. That was the moment I realized consciousness isn't isolated in our skulls. It breathes between us. It moves through the quiet spaces between heartbeat and heartbeat, thought and thought. When you start paying attention, the world begins to shimmer differently. The timing of things feels more deliberate. The conversations you overhear carry hidden answers. The patterns in your life, who you meet, what repeats, what stirs. Your heart begin to feel less random and more like choreography. You might call it synchronicity or divine timing, but beneath the names, it is simply the physics of connection. Each thought you hold with emotion, fear, joy, gratitude, love releases a signal into the quantum field. That field mirrors back what matches your vibration, orchestrating people, events, and chances to resonate with your inner state. When you are anxious, you meet chaos. When you are open, life feels like flow. You don't attract by wanting. You align by becoming. That is the living version of entanglement, not just particles responding to each other, but consciousness weaving reality through the harmonics of attention. There's a humility that comes with this understanding. You begin to see that every action, every word, every unspoken thought is a note in the symphony of existence. When you send love, it doesn't vanish into air. It ripples outward, touching the unseen. When you judge or hate, that vibration also travels, and somewhere, it finds its echo. We are transmitters and receivers in the same grand network, and though we may forget it, the field never forgets us. This is why healing yourself matters not only for you, but for the whole. When one node in the web shifts to higher coherence, the entire web brightens. Your peace becomes medicine for others. Your calm becomes an anchor in the storm. Every act of kindness, every moment of awareness, every breath of forgiveness, they recalibrate the energy that binds us all. You might never see the full ripple, but you feel it. Because entanglement doesn't only connect you to others, it connects you to the greater intelligence behind life itself. Sometimes I think of it this way. If two people can sense each other across distance, then maybe the universe can sense you. Maybe every quiet prayer, every word whispered into the dark, is heard not by someone out there, but by the very field that you are part of. When you align your thoughts with love, the world rearranges itself around that love. Not because you forced it, but because you tuned into the frequency of truth. Entanglement isn't about control, it's about coherence. It's not about trying to make things happen, but allowing them to unfold in rhythm with your deepest resonance. The laboratory gave us the language for it. The heart gives us the experience of it. What scientists see as data, we feel as connection. What they describe as correlated spins, we experience as synchronicity, intuition, empathy, love. In the end, they are not different stories. They are two sides of the same truth. The truth that everything is communicating beneath the surface, responding to the vibration we carry. So the next time life surprises you with perfect timing, the right person, the right word, the right moment, smile softly. That's the universe speaking back. That's the hum of entanglement between your inner world and the outer one. You didn't stumble into it. You created coherence. And in that silent correspondence between energy and awareness, between particle and soul, between laboratory and heart, you'll find the most tender truth of all. We were never meant to be alone. We were meant to remember we are one song, playing through countless instruments. 3. You are the observer. There is a moment, quiet and sacred, when you realize that the world isn't just happening to you, it's also happening through you. That realization changes everything. Quantum physics offers a simple but astonishing truth. The act of observation changes what is being observed. In every experiment, particles behave differently when they are watched. When unobserved, They exist as waves of infinite possibility, a mist of potential outcomes. But the instant attention falls upon them, they choose. They collapse into form. They become something definite. It means that consciousness, your awareness, is not a passive witness. It's a participant. It shapes what it sees. And if that's true for particles of light, it's true for the light within you. There's something humbling in that idea. You are not just living inside the universe. You are co-creating it, moment by moment. Your attention is the brush that paints reality into being. When you look at something, a situation, a person, even yourself, you're not merely seeing it. You're defining how it will exist in your experience. Your focus decides whether it thrives or fades, expands or dissolves. Because energy follows attention. Always. What you bless with awareness grows luminous. What you neglect returns to the field of potential, waiting for you to look again. I remember the first time this truth sank into my bones. Not just as theory, but as experience. It was during a difficult season of my life, the kind where everything felt uncertain, unsteady. I was trying to fix the outer world, to rearrange pieces that refused to stay in place. Then one evening, exhausted, I sat in silence and noticed something small, my own gaze. I realized I had been looking at life through the lens of fear, expecting disappointment, rehearsing pain before it even arrived. And the more I did, the more life mirrored that vibration back to me. That night, I changed one thing, not the circumstances, but the way I looked at them. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" I asked, "What part of me is being shown right now?" The energy shifted. The same people, the same events, but a different quality of light around them. That's when I understood observation is creation. In the quantum world, observation isn't passive. It's an active participation. And in your life, the same principle applies. The way you observe determines the reality you step into. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every intention you hold, they ripple through the field, like waves on water. When you focus on lack, you strengthen the pattern of lack. When you focus on gratitude, you align with abundance. You're not summoning these realities from outside yourself. You're tuning into them within the infinite spectrum of what already exists. You are both the observer and the observed, the consciousness watching, and the energy being shaped by that watching. To observe consciously means to bring awareness without judgment. It's not about controlling outcomes, but about seeing clearly, because when you look without resistance, the energy around you reorganizes itself into coherence. Imagine sunlight passing through a magnifying glass. Diffuse light becomes powerful enough to ignite fire. When focused, that's what your attention does. It concentrates the infinite potential of the quantum field into a single point of creation. So when you dwell on fear, your focus intensifies that frequency. When you dwell on love, your focus amplifies that light. The universe doesn't distinguish between good and bad. It simply responds to vibration. It mirrors the signal you broadcast through your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. Sometimes, we mistake observation for overthinking. But true observation isn't mental noise. It's awareness, silent, steady, compassionate. It's the space between stimulus and response. The more deeply you observe without trying to control, the more the energy around you aligns itself into harmony. It's like watching a turbulent river begin to calm, simply because you stopped fighting the current. When you observe from peace, you become peace. And when you become peace, the world entangled with you finds its balance too. In the quantum field, particles respond to the observer's expectation. In human life, reality responds to your assumption. This is what Neville Goddard meant when he said, "The world is yourself pushed out. Your perception shapes the mirror of experience." If you expect betrayal, you notice every shadow that could confirm it. If you expect kindness, you begin to see gentle moments everywhere. The lens you hold is the world you meet. And the moment you change that lens even slightly, the entire landscape shifts. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just look, not with fear, not with desire, but with presence, to see things as they are, without projecting the past or predicting the future. That kind of observation purifies energy. When you sit quietly and watch your thoughts move like clouds across the sky, something incredible happens. You realize you are not the thoughts. You are the sky. Vast, untouched, aware. From that awareness, new possibilities appear. Not because you forced them, but because you stopped interfering. The field responds to clarity. And clarity comes from stillness. Every emotion you feel, every intention you whisper into the silence, travels outward as a vibration. This vibration doesn't disappear. It entangles with the world around you. That's why your inner state matters more than any action. Because no matter what you do, the energy behind it determines what it creates. A smile given with anxiety carries the vibration of anxiety, but silence held in true compassion heals without a word. Your presence is more powerful than your performance. When you begin to live as the conscious observer, you stop trying to control the movie and start realizing you're both the screen and the light behind it. The scenes change because the light shifts, and the light shifts because you do. Every moment becomes a creative choice. Do I focus on fear or possibility? Do I see the problem or the opportunity? Do I resist what is or bless it into transformation? This is the quiet mastery. The sages spoke of the art of allowing awareness to reshape reality, gently, from within. We often think creation is about effort, but the deepest creation happens through attention. What you truly see, without resistance, begins to heal. What you love into awareness begins to bloom. The observer effect isn't just a scientific principle. It's a way of living. It asks you to take responsibility for the vibration you bring to each moment. It reminds you that you don't need to fix the world to change it. You only need to become aware of how you're seeing it. When you shift from reaction to observation, chaos becomes clarity. Pain becomes instruction. Life begins to flow again. So the next time you find yourself lost in confusion or fear, pause it. Take a breath. Notice the energy you're projecting onto the situation. Ask gently, what happens if I observe this without labeling it? You'll feel the field respond softly, immediately. Because the universe is listening through your awareness. It always has been. And as you learn to observe with love instead of control, you'll discover the quiet miracle of being alive. That life is not something happening to you, it's something happening through you. In the stillness of the observer, creation unfolds. And in that stillness, the world, like a particle bathed in light, finds its form. 4. Consciousness as the field, the unified field. There comes a moment, often after life has stripped you of all the noise, when you begin to sense something beneath everything, a stillness that doesn't come and go. It's there under every thought, every heartbeat, every rise and fall of emotion. You start to feel it not as an idea, but as presence vast, silent, and unbroken. That is what mystics call the essence of consciousness. Science calls it the unified field. In physics, the unified field is the invisible fabric that holds every particle, every force, every vibration together, from galaxies spiraling through space to the subatomic dance of energy within your body. It is not made of matter. It gives rise to matter. It is the background hum of existence, the invisible ocean in which every wave of life moves. And here's the truth that both science and spirit agree on. You are not floating in that field. You are that field, temporarily condensed into a body, a story, a name. Think of it like this. Every atom in your body was once part of a star. Every breath you take once passed through trees, oceans, and other hearts. You are made of recycled stardust and ancient light. So when you close your eyes and feel the pulse beneath your ribs. You are listening to the rhythm of the cosmos itself. We live as if we are separate, me and you, here and there, now and then. But beneath these appearances, everything is woven into one seamless fabric of energy, a single field of awareness experiencing itself through countless forms. That's why, when you shift your inner state, your thoughts, your feelings, your vibration, it doesn't just change you. It sends ripples through the entire web. Every emotion, every act of kindness, every breath of forgiveness, they're not isolated moments. They're waves in the ocean, traveling outward, touching shores you may never see. I once heard a physicist describe the unified field as a single, infinite ocean of vibration, where everything is connected by resonance. But the poet in me calls it something simpler: home. When you begin to live with awareness of this field, something extraordinary happens. Not dramatic, not flashy, but profoundly quiet. You stop feeling alone, because loneliness is an illusion that arises when the mind forgets it's swimming in an ocean of connection. In this field, your thoughts are not trapped in your head. They move, they travel, they influence. Your emotions don't just belong to you. They tune the collective frequency of the human story. When you choose to raise your vibration to feel gratitude instead of fear, compassion instead of judgment, you recalibrate the whole network that you're part of. The unified field doesn't respond to words. It responds to energy, and your energy changes everything. It's like tuning a musical instrument. When one string vibrates at a higher frequency, nearby strings begin to hum in sympathy. That's how coherence spreads quietly, invisibly. When you enter a room full of chaos, but stay centered and calm, people start to match your rhythm without even realizing it. That's not charisma. That's resonance. Your inner frequency is adjusting the field you share. So when you meditate, pray, or simply sit in presence, you're not doing nothing. You're contributing to harmony. You're creating a vibration that gives others permission to align too. The unified field is the space where your inner transformation becomes a collective shift. Let's bring this out of theory and into something felt. Have you ever noticed that peace is contagious? Spend time with someone who radiates calm, and your nervous system begins to soften. Spend time with someone who's angry, and your body starts to tense. That's the unified field at work. It's not just empathy, it's entanglement on a grander scale. Your heart's electromagnetic field extends several feet beyond your body. When you feel love, it communicates that frequency into the space around you, syncing with other hearts nearby. The more coherent your inner state, the more coherence you bring to the world around you. This is not metaphor. This is physics, the science of resonance. Now meeting the art of consciousness. When you truly grasp this, responsibility takes on a new meaning. It's no longer about fixing others or saving the planet through force. It's about mastering your vibration, knowing that your every inner shift echoes outward. Changing yourself isn't selfish. It's the most generous act possible. You are a tuning fork in the symphony of existence. Each time you choose alignment over anxiety, stillness over noise, presence over distraction, you play a note that helps the whole orchestra fine-tune. This is why the greatest spiritual teachers didn't preach revolution. They embodied it. Their stillness moved mountains because it resonated with the truth already sleeping inside others. The unified field doesn't divide energy into yours and mine. There's only one current moving through countless expressions. When you suffer, the field trembles. When you heal, the field rejoices. When you forgive, it untangles knots that were never just your own. That's why healing yourself heals the collective. Your consciousness is a node in the network of everything. Every time you return to peace, you send that signal into the grid, helping unseen hearts remember who they are. I learned this slowly and painfully. There was a time I thought my pain was mine alone, a personal storm. private, and separate. But when I finally stopped resisting it and began to feel it fully, something astonishing happened. The pain softened, not because I escaped it, but because I felt the presence beneath it, the vast stillness that held even the ache. That stillness was not me in the small sense. It was the field itself. And in recognizing that, the separation between my suffering and the world dissolved. The tears that fell were not lonely anymore. They felt like rain returning to the ocean. That's the mystery of awareness. The deeper you go inward, the more connected you become outward. Everything in existence, every atom, every planet, every thought, is a frequency within the same sea of intelligence. When you quiet your mind, you begin to feel the subtle currents of that sea. You start to notice that synchronicities aren't random. They're communications from the field. You realize that intuition isn't fantasy. It's how consciousness translates energy into guidance. The unified field is not out there. It's here, within your awareness, pulsing as your very being. And the more you recognize it, the less life feels like chaos, and the more it feels like choreography not controlled, but harmonized. So when life feels heavy, remember, you're not a small being fighting against a vast universe. You are the universe, momentarily experiencing itself as you. You are the wave, not separate from the sea. When you change your vibration, the sea shifts with you. When you breathe with awareness, you breathe on behalf of the whole. This is not metaphor, this is the deepest kind of reality. 1. Consciousness. Infinite expression. The unified field is not something to reach. It's what you return to each time you rest in presence. And in that returning, something remarkable unfolds. Life stops being a puzzle to solve and becomes a song to remember. A song you've been humming all along. A song of stillness. A song of oneness. A song that never began and will never end. 5. Emotion. The language of energy. There was a time when I tried to think my way through everything, to analyze, to control, to make life bend toward logic. But life doesn't speak in logic. It speaks in feeling. Abraham Hicks once said, "You can't think a thought that you don't feel." And over the years, I've come to understand how deeply true that is. Because every thought, no matter how beautiful or well-intentioned, is only a faint spark until emotion gives it life. Emotion is the current that animates creation. It is the electricity of consciousness. It is the language that energy understands. You don't attract what you say you want. You attract what you feel you are. When you feel love, gratitude, or peace, something subtle yet immense happens within the quantum field. Your vibration shifts, and with it, the invisible threads that connect you to everything else begin to rearrange. The entanglement between you and the world, that unseen fabric binding every atom and thought, rewires itself in harmony with your frequency. Emotion is not just a reaction to life. It is a dialogue with life. It's how the universe listens. Think of your emotions as tuning forks. When you vibrate at the frequency of joy, you call forth experiences that resonate with joy. When you vibrate with fear, the field around you responds with echoes of fear. The field doesn't judge, it mirrors. It doesn't decide what's good or bad. It simply reflects coherence or incoherence. And the tool that calibrates this coherence is emotion. That's why trying to think positively without feeling it rarely works. The field doesn't hear the words. It hears the energy underneath them. You can repeat affirmations for hours, but if your heart is broadcasting doubt, the signal remains tangled. It's not about forcing yourself to be happy. It's about tuning your inner state, gently, until your thoughts and emotions begin to hum in unison. I learned this the hard way. There was a season in my life when everything felt heavy, not because things were terrible, but because I had learned to numb myself to feeling. I was living on autopilot, speaking of hope, but carrying exhaustion in my body. Then one morning, I sat quietly and asked myself, what do I actually feel right now? At first, there was silence. Then came a slow ache grief I had ignored for years. Disappointment. I had dressed up as strength. I didn't run from it. I let it move through me. And something miraculous happened beneath the ache, was stillness. And beneath the stillness was warmth. I realized that even pain is energy. Energy that wants to move, to flow, to be felt so it can transform. That's when I began to understand emotion not as a problem, but as a compass. Your emotions are messengers, not enemies. They tell you how aligned you are with your true self. When you feel constricted, it's not punishment, it's information. It's the universe whispering, you're out of tune with your own frequency. When you feel light, open, alive, that's coherence. That's you in sync with your source energy, your higher consciousness, the field that knows your name. The point isn't to avoid negative emotions. It's to listen to them without becoming them. Because every emotion is a vibration on the same spectrum, from fear to love, from resistance to allowing, and the more you allow each feeling to pass through you, the more energy becomes free again to create. Emotion is the switch that activates frequency. It's what turns abstract thought into living vibration. A thought like "I am enough" is a faint ripple in the mind. But when you feel that truth in your chest, when every cell begins to resonate with it, the entire field reorganizes to match it. That's when doors open. That's when synchronicities begin to bloom like constellations around you. That's when you realize that emotion was never weakness. It was the key to quantum creation all along. Love, gratitude, and peace are not just pleasant feelings. They are high-frequency states of consciousness. When you feel them sincerely, you are broadcasting the vibration of coherence, a signal that travels through the unified field and reshapes probabilities. In that state, you stop fighting reality and start flowing with it. Have you ever noticed that when you're in love, life seems to align effortlessly? The traffic clears. People smile back. Ideas arrive easily. It's not luck, it's resonance. Your emotional frequency has synchronized with a version of reality that already contains ease and harmony. This is how emotion changes your world, not by forcing events to bend to your will, but by shifting the level of consciousness from which your world emerges. Let's imagine the field like an ocean again. Your emotions are waves rising and falling on its surface. When you resist them, when you suppress, judge, or cling, the water becomes turbulent. When you breathe and allow, even through pain, the waves smooth themselves. In that calmness, you can see your reflection clearly again. That's the secret. Emotional coherence restores clarity. When your inner ocean is still, reality reflects the light of your consciousness with perfect fidelity. Every emotion carries information about the vibration you're emitting. Anger, fear, anxiety. They're signals that you've drifted away from alignment. Not wrong, not shameful, just out of tune. You don't fix it by denying it. You realign by acknowledging it with compassion. Sit with your emotion as you would with a child who's scared. Listen, breathe, let it soften. In doing so, you return to the frequency of love, not through effort, but through acceptance. Love, after all, is the bass tone of the universe. Everything else is distortion that can be harmonized. You don't need to force yourself to feel good all the time. You just need to feel true. When you honor what you feel, even sorrow, you stop resisting the energy that's trying to move through you. Emotion that's allowed to flow becomes power. Emotion that's suppressed becomes heaviness. Feeling is not weakness. It is how consciousness communicates with itself. It's the dialogue between your finite form and the infinite field. The most profound transformations happen when emotion and awareness meet. Awareness brings light. Emotion brings movement. Together, they create coherence. And coherence is creation. That's why you can meditate for hours Visualize endlessly. Read every book on manifestation and still feel stuck. Because none of it works without emotion. Emotion is the current that connects your intention to the field. It's what turns your inner world from static thought into a living frequency that the universe can respond to. So when you wake each morning, don't ask, "What will happen today?" Ask, "What frequency am I broadcasting right now?" And then listen not with your mind, but with your heart. If there's tension, breathe into it. If there's gratitude, expand it. If there's peace, protect it. Because the world doesn't mirror what you demand. It mirrors what you embody. Emotion is the language of energy, and you are the author. Each feeling you allow, each vibration you send, writes a line in the script of your reality. When you understand this, life stops feeling random. You stop chasing outcomes and begin cultivating alignment. You stop shouting into the void and start whispering to the field, and the field always whispers back. Because when you feel love, the universe feels it too. When you feel gratitude, the whole web of life breathes easier. And when you feel peace, even for a moment, you restore coherence in places you may never see. That is the quiet power of emotion, not to control the world, but to harmonize it, not to force the future, but to tune the present. To feel deeply is to remember what you are: energy, in conversation with itself. 6. Entanglement beyond particles, the connection of souls. There's a kind of meeting that changes you not because of what was said or done, but because something unseen inside you recognized itself in another. You can't explain it. It feels both ancient and immediate, as if you've crossed paths before time began. And now, life has simply arranged the reunion. That's not imagination. It's resonance. It's entanglement, not of particles this time, but of souls. In physics, entanglement describes how two particles, once connected, remain linked across distance. But beyond the physical, there exists another web, one woven not of atoms, but of awareness. Each person you meet, every event that unfolds, every unexpected turn in your life, they are all part of that invisible network. We like to believe in chance, in coincidence, in accidents of timing. Yet when you look closer, life starts to reveal a strange precision. The right people appear when your heart is ready. The right challenges surface when your spirit seeks growth. The right endings happen when something new is waiting to be born. It's not random. It's rhythm. Imagine the universe as a vast tapestry of consciousness, billions of luminous threads weaving in and out of one another. Every soul is one of those threads, carrying its own tone, its own vibration, its own piece of the pattern. And when two threads cross, something sacred happens. Information is exchanged. Awareness expands. Both change shape. This is why relationships, even brief ones, have the power to transform you. Because each soul you encounter awakens a different part of the whole within you. Some enter softly, like sunlight through leaves. Others arrive like storms, breaking everything open, so that light can finally enter the cracks. But all of them, every single one, serve the evolution of consciousness. You are not separate from that process. You are that process. When you awaken, truly awaken, something remarkable begins to unfold. Your frequency shifts, and with it, the entire network you're part of begins to move. Just as tuning one string can cause the others to resonate, your vibration becomes a signal of coherence that ripples outward, touching lives in ways you may never see. This is why your healing matters, not just for your own peace, but for the collective field. When one consciousness rises in awareness, others feel the pull. Even if they can't name it, they begin to question, to soften, to remember. Your light doesn't just illuminate your path, it rearranges the map for others. There was a time when I thought I had to change people, to convince, to teach, to save. But I've learned that awakening isn't something you can hand to someone, it's something they remember. when they are near the frequency of truth. You don't awaken others by preaching. You awaken them by being. When you embody peace, others feel safe to lay down their defenses. When you choose authenticity, others find courage to stop pretending. When you live with compassion, the hearts entangled with yours begin to soften, not because you ask them to, but because your vibration invites theirs to rise. We influence not through words, but through coherence. Every connection you've ever had, the friends, the strangers, the lovers, the ones who hurt you, they are all entangled with your journey of becoming. They reflect back what your consciousness is ready to see. The ones who triggered you showed you where you still carried pain. The ones who loved you without condition showed you what was always true beneath the pain. Even those who left you did not truly leave. Their energy remains part of your pattern, like chords in a song that continues long after the music fades. Every relationship is a mirror, and every mirror helps consciousness recognize itself. This is not sentimental, it's sacred geometry. Each soul plays its role in the expansion of the whole. There's a deeper layer to this, one that took me years to understand. Some connections are karmic entanglements. They come to complete a lesson your soul began long ago. You meet someone and feel an instant familiarity, even if they're a stranger. That recognition is the memory of energy, a knowing that transcends this lifetime. These souls don't arrive to comfort you, they arrive to awaken you. Sometimes through love, sometimes through pain, sometimes through both. They mirror back your unhealed patterns until you choose differently, until your frequency evolves. Once the lesson integrates, the energy softens, and the dynamic shifts. The bond doesn't disappear, it transforms. It becomes lighter, freer, no longer bound by need or resistance. This is how consciousness purifies itself through relationship, not by avoiding the difficult, but by letting every interaction become an instrument of growth. You've probably felt it when you begin to heal. Certain people drift away. It's not rejection, it's resonance. Your vibration no longer aligns with the same frequencies. So the field naturally rearranges. And then, as your energy stabilizes in peace, new connections form, people who reflect your new coherence. It's not about hierarchy or superiority. It's simply vibration, seeking harmony. We attract what matches our state of being, not as punishment or reward, but as reflection. The field organizes itself around the frequency we emit. So, if you wish to change your relationships, start not with others, but with your own vibration. The moment you shift within, the web responds. I remember once asking, why do we keep meeting the same kinds of people, living the same cycles? And the answer that came was quiet but clear, because consciousness keeps creating mirrors until you recognize yourself in them. Once you see the lesson, once you become aware of the pattern, it dissolves. The field no longer needs to repeat the same geometry. And what replaces it is freedom, the space for new, higher frequency connections to emerge. Every ending, then, is not loss, but liberation. Every heartbreak is the universe gently untangling the cords that kept you bound to an outdated version of yourself. Entanglement of the soul is the architecture of evolution. We rise together. Always. Your awakening lifts those entangled with you, just as their awakening lifts you. Think of it like a network of lanterns stretching across infinity. When one lantern ignites, its light touches the next, and the next, until the whole sky begins to glow. That is how consciousness expands, not in isolation, but through connection. You don't need to force this illumination. You simply need to stay lit. Your light will find its way. When you start to live with this awareness, forgiveness comes more easily. You stop seeing others as enemies or saviors, and start recognizing them as collaborators in your evolution. The one who hurt you was not your curse. They were your catalyst. The one who loved you was not your completion. They were your reminder of wholeness. Each encounter, no matter how brief or intense, is an exchange of energy that refines the soul. Every interaction is an opportunity to express a higher vibration, to respond from love instead of fear, from understanding instead of reaction. And as you do, the entanglement shifts from karmic to conscious, from unconscious repetition to deliberate creation. We often think enlightenment is a solitary path retreating from the world to find peace. But true awakening happens through relationship. It's in the messy, beautiful, imperfect dance of connection that the soul learns its strength, its humility, its depth. The people in your life are not distractions from your spiritual journey. They are your spiritual journey. They are the mirrors through which the field experiences itself, one reflection at a time. And when you meet another who mirrors your light instead of your wounds, that's when you'll know you've shifted. Your energy has rewritten its entanglement from survival to creation, from fear to freedom. Everything and everyone is connected. The web of souls is not something you believe in, it's something you feel. You feel it when a friend cries and your chest tightens, when a stranger smiles and your mood lifts, when a loved one passes and yet you sense them everywhere. This is not sentiment. This is the truth of energy. We are bound not by contracts or coincidence, but by the shared current of consciousness moving through all things. And as each of us awakens to that truth, the entire network glows a little brighter. Because when one soul remembers, all souls begin to stir. That is the quiet miracle of our entanglement, the knowing that we were never separate, only sleeping within the same divine dream, waiting for the moment to awaken together. 7. When you change, everything changes. There's a moment on the path of awakening when you stop trying to rearrange the world and begin to realize the world has only ever been showing you yourself. Neville Goddard said it in the simplest, most unsettling way. The outer world is a mirror of the inner world. For years I understood that as philosophy. It sounded poetic, comforting, even. But it wasn't until I lived through enough endings, enough disappointments, enough quiet nights alone with my thoughts, that I began to feel the truth of it. The world isn't happening to you. It's happening through you. Every event, every person, every coincidence is a reflection of your state of consciousness, the emotional frequency you're tuned into in this very moment. When your inner world changes, the reflection cannot stay the same. We've been taught to begin with action, fix the problem, change the job, find the new relationship, move to the next place. But action is only surface. It's the echo of something deeper, your state of being. If your internal vibration doesn't shift, your actions only rearrange the furniture in the same old room. The scenery may change, but the atmosphere doesn't. You meet the same stories in new faces, the same patterns in new circumstances. Real transformation begins in the unseen, in the way you feel. Feeling is the birthplace of reality. Your emotions aren't side effects. They are instructions to the field. When you feel connected, when you believe life supports you, when gratitude becomes your baseline, you start transmitting a new frequency into the quantum web that surrounds you. And that field, being perfectly responsive, mirrors that vibration back as synchronicity, opportunity, flow. It's not that the universe suddenly decides to bless you. It's that you've tuned into a version of reality where blessings already existed, waiting for you to match them. I remember a time when I was trying to manifest my way out of a difficult season. I repeated affirmations, made vision boards, worked harder than ever, yet nothing seemed to move. Every effort felt like swimming upstream. One evening, exhausted, I stopped trying. I sat in silence and said, I give up not on life, but on controlling it. And something softened in me. That night, for the first time in months, I slept deeply. The next day, a problem that had haunted me for weeks simply resolved itself. A call came, an opportunity opened, without any manipulation on my part. It wasn't magic. It was alignment. The moment I changed my internal frequency from struggle to surrender, the outer world rearranged to match it. You see, reality is not solid. It's fluid, a living mirror that responds to your perception. The world is not fixed. It's participatory. When you look at it through the lens of fear, you see threats. When you look through the lens of gratitude, you see gifts. The world hasn't changed, only the observer has. But because consciousness is the creative force, that shift in perception is the shift in reality. There's an image I often return to: imagine standing before a mirror, frowning. You can yell at the reflection to smile, but it won't until you do. The reflection has no power of its own. It only obeys the one who stands before it. That's how life works. The world can't reflect peace until you hold peace within yourself. It can't show you love until you start embodying it, even in the smallest ways: in your breath, in your tone, in the way you treat the moment you're in. When you change your feeling state, you change the lens through which creation expresses itself. It's easy to misunderstand this principle. People sometimes hear "change your vibration" and think it means denying pain or pretending everything's fine. But the truth is gentler. It's about feeling honestly, then choosing consciously. You don't have to fake joy to change your life. You only have to stop feeding the vibration of fear with constant attention. Observe it, breathe through it, and let it dissolve. Then, from that openness, allow yourself to remember what peace feels like, not as an escape, but as your natural state beneath the noise. That remembrance becomes your new signal to the universe. The more I live this, the more I realize life mirrors not your words, but your trust. It doesn't answer your requests. It responds to your energy. When you say, "I am abundant," but feel lack, the field hears lack. When you say, "I am loved," but carry unworthiness, the field reflects situations to make that belief visible, not to punish you, but to bring it into awareness, so you can choose again. The world is your teacher, showing you your own vibration and form. The process is both humbling and liberating, because once you take responsibility for your state of being, you stop waiting for the world to change first. You stop making peace conditional on the approval of others. You stop outsourcing your power to external circumstances. You begin to live from the inside out. When you hold peace, chaos around you starts to lose its grip. When you hold compassion, even conflict begins to soften. When you hold gratitude, the smallest things, sunlight on your skin, the sound of a friend's laughter, become miracles again. That's how reality shifts, not through control, but through coherence. There's a line I once wrote in my journal: "The world becomes kind when I become kind inside." I didn't mean it metaphorically. I meant it literally. On the days I woke with resentment, life felt hostile. On the days I woke with softness, life met me with grace. The difference was never out there. It was always within the atmosphere of my consciousness. That's the hidden alchemy of being human, the power to alter the weather of your world simply by changing the climate of your heart. When you truly grasp this, blame begins to dissolve. You no longer see yourself as a victim of life's circumstances, nor as their controller. You see yourself as a co-creator, a participant in a grand conversation between consciousness and form. Everything becomes feedback, not failure. Every experience, even the painful ones, reveals the vibration you were holding when it arrived. And when you shift that vibration, the feedback changes too. There is an old truth whispered through many traditions: as within, so without. It's not just spiritual poetry, it's a law of resonance. When your inner world harmonizes with love, the outer world cannot help but reflect that harmony back. It might come through people, through timing, through a sudden sense of ease, but it will come because coherence in consciousness always reorganizes matter. You are not separate from the field that shapes your experience. You are that field, observing itself, So when you change your feeling, you change the entire pattern of the field around you. I sometimes think of life as a hall of mirrors. Acht Personen. Each event, each season is one reflection. Some show you your light, others, your shadow. But every mirror is sacred because it helps you see what's ready to evolve. When you meet life this way, nothing feels wasted. Even pain becomes purposeful, not something to escape, but something to transform. Because in truth, transformation doesn't begin when the storm ends. It begins when you realize you are the sky vast enough to hold both the storm and the calm. When you change, everything changes. Not because the world suddenly bends to your will, but because you begin to see the world as it truly is, a reflection of consciousness in motion. The universe doesn't need to be convinced to support you. It's already supporting the version of you that believes it's connected, worthy, and whole. All you have to do is become that version through feeling, through awareness, through gentle remembrance. Then the reflection adjusts. Naturally, effortlessly. So tonight, before you sleep, try this. Don't ask for anything. Don't push against anything. Just rest in the feeling of already being part of something vast, intelligent, and kind. Breathe as if the whole universe is breathing with you. Because it is. And as you soften into that truth, the field begins to rearrange itself around your vibration. People change. Circumstances shift. Paths open. Not because you forced them, but because you finally stopped being at war with what you are. You changed. And so the world, being your faithful mirror, had no choice but to change with you. Space is no longer separate. Time is no longer linear. There is something quietly revolutionary about realizing that space and time, the very foundations of how we believe reality works, might not be as fixed as we once thought. For most of our lives, we've been taught that time moves in one direction, from past to future, like a river that never reverses its flow. We've been told that space is a vast emptiness between things, separating one point from another. But quantum entanglement whispers another story, one that turns separation into illusion and time into something far more mysterious. In the quantum world, the distance doesn't seem to matter. Two particles that once interacted can remain connected across light years of space, responding to each other instantly. No message travels between them. No energy crosses the gap because there is no real gap. They exist as one system, one pattern, one vibration stretched across space. What happens to one, happens to the other simultaneously. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance. But maybe it's not spooky at all. Maybe it's the universe reminding us that what looks like distance is simply perspective, that underneath our senses, everything is already touching. Now, if space is not truly separate, then time, too, cannot be what we think it is. You see, in the field of energy, everything is happening at once. The past doesn't vanish, and the future doesn't wait somewhere ahead. Every possibility, every version of you that has ever been or could be exists as potential vibrations within the same unified field. The quantum field doesn't follow the clock on your wall. It responds to frequency, not chronology. It doesn't ask, "What year is it?" It asks, "What are you feeling right now?" Because feeling is frequency, and frequency determines which version of reality you tune into. When you understand this, time begins to loosen its grip. You start to see that your past is not set in stone. It's a pattern of vibrations stored in the field, one that can be rewritten by how you perceive it today. Every memory is energy, and energy can transform. If you revisit a painful moment from your past and meet it with compassion instead of resistance, you are not just healing a memory, you are altering the energy signature that moment holds in the field. And that new frequency ripples outward, touching both your present and your future. Likewise, the future isn't something that happens later. It's a range of probabilities waiting to be accessed. You don't move through time. You move across timelines, aligning yourself with the one that matches your vibration. When you shift your emotional state, you change the signal you send into the field, and that signal determines which version of your life becomes visible next. I remember once walking along the ocean at dusk, watching the horizon blur into soft gold. I thought about all the moments in my life that had led to that exact step, the choices, the mistakes, the chances I didn't take, and for a moment, it all collapsed into stillness. It felt as though every version of me, the child, the dreamer, the broken, the hopeful, were all standing there together, breathing in rhythm with the tide. No before, no after, just now. That's when I realized time is not linear inside consciousness. It's layered. Every past you is still alive within the field, still reachable through awareness. Every future you is already waiting, calling from the same ocean of energy, and your present vibration is the bridge between them. When you change your vibration now, when you shift from fear to trust, from resistance to allowing, you're not just improving your mood, you're realigning the threads that connect you to different versions of your own story. Your higher future self, the one who has already healed, who already lives in peace, is not out of reach. It exists as a frequency, and by matching that frequency through emotion and awareness, you merge paths with it. This is why deep meditation can feel like touching something timeless, because it is in those moments of stillness, the boundaries of past and future dissolve. You're no longer chasing time. You're resting inside the eternal now. And in that now, all possibilities coexist. If this sounds abstract, remember, we already experience glimpses of it in everyday life. Think about déjà vu, that uncanny sense that you've lived a moment before. Think about dreams that reveal something before it happens, or sudden waves of emotion you can't explain. These aren't mystical accidents. They are hints that consciousness moves freely across what we call time. Your awareness isn't bound by seconds or minutes. It's connected to the whole field, and that means it can feel vibrations that belong to both memory and possibility. This is why the present moment is so powerful. It's not just the midpoint between past and future. It's the access point to all timelines. When you fully inhabit the now, you are standing at the center of every possibility your soul has ever imagined. For years, I believed the past controlled me. I thought that until I resolved every pain, I couldn't move forward. But life taught me something gentler. The past doesn't need to be erased, only reinterpreted. When you bring love to what once hurt, you send a new signal through time. You become the future self who reaches back and heals the child you once were. And perhaps, right now, the peace you feel in this moment is the prayer that version of you was sending forward all along. Time is not a line, it's a loop of compassion, and your awareness is what weaves it together. The same applies to the future. When you imagine something with deep emotion, not as wishful thinking, but as a felt reality, you're forming an energetic bridge to that version of yourself. You begin to entangle with it. That's why visualization works only when it's felt, because the field doesn't respond to words or pictures, it responds to vibration. When you live as though peace is already here, the field mirrors that coherence. When you move through the day with gratitude, you align with a version of reality where gratitude is natural, not forced. You start drawing to yourself the people, places, and moments that belong to that timeline. This is how consciousness navigates the multiverse, not through action, but through vibration. So, what does it mean for space and time to lose their boundaries? It means you are no longer a small being moving through a giant universe. You are the universe, expressing itself as movement. Space doesn't separate you. It extends you. Time doesn't confine you. It unfolds you. The distance between you and another person, between you and a dream, between you and your highest self, it's all energetic, not physical. When your vibration matches theirs, connection happens instantly. Because at the quantum level, there was never any distance at all. I think often of how light behaves in quantum experiments. A single photon can travel two paths at once, as if it knows every possible route before it's even chosen one. It doesn't decide until it's observed, and that observation collapses it into form. Consciousness works the same way. You contain infinite paths within you. The act of awareness of choosing how to feel now is what collapses one possibility into experience. Every time you raise your vibration, you're not just shifting your mood, you're choosing a new path through the quantum sea. And somewhere in that sea, your future self smiles, recognizing the moment when you finally began to remember. When you live with this understanding, the fear of time softens. You stop racing against clocks and start moving with rhythm. You no longer dread the future or cling to the past, because you realize both exist within you as frequencies. As stories still being rewritten by love, you begin to trust that healing now heals what was, that peace now invites what will be, that everything you seek already exists within the field, waiting for your awareness to vibrate in harmony with it. Space is not distance. Time is not duration. They are both expressions of energy, and you are the consciousness that gives them form. So breathe slowly. Let this moment expand until it fills everything. The past, the future, the here, the there, they all dissolve into one still truth. You were never traveling through time. You were always unfolding within eternity. And when you remember that, when you truly feel it, space closes. Time gets. And all that remains is presence infinite, whole, and alive within you. 9. Practice reconnecting with the web of life. There are truths that you can understand only with your mind, and there are truths you must feel with your entire being. The connection between all things belongs to the second kind. You can study it, discuss it, even believe it, but it only becomes real when you sense it moving through you. This is not about theory anymore. It's about experience, about coming home to what has always been here, humming quietly, beneath the noise of your thoughts, the living field that binds every heartbeat, every star, every silent prayer. Let's begin. Simply, find a quiet place. You don't need candles or incense, only your breath and a little willingness to be present. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and rest your hands gently over your heart. Now, inhale slowly through your nose. Feel the breath travel into your chest, expanding your ribs, softening your shoulders. Exhale through your mouth, releasing everything you've been carrying. Today, the plans, the worries, the endless doing. Let it all dissolve for a moment. Breathe again. And as you do, imagine that you're not just breathing air. You're breathing the same current that moves through the trees, the oceans, the sky, the same breath that the earth itself is taking right now. Each inhale draws the world into you. Each exhale sends your energy back into the world. You and the field breathing each other. As you continue, bring awareness to the gentle rhythm of your heartbeat. That steady pulse is not yours alone. It's an echo of the greater rhythm, the heartbeat of the universe. Every living thing moves to that same silent drum. The pulse of a bird's wings, the tide pulling against the shore, even the expansion of galaxies, all of it, in perfect synchronization. Now imagine not as fantasy, but as memory that every being on this planet is breathing with you. The stranger walking down the street, the mother soothing her child, the man sitting alone in grief, the animal resting beneath a tree. Every inhale they take adds to the same ocean of air you are drawing into your lungs. You are not separate. You never were. In this moment, you are re-entering the network, the invisible lattice of energy that connects all of life. The ancients called it the web of being. Physicists call it the quantum field. But names don't matter. What matters is that you feel it, the gentle pulse of connection between you and everything else that exists. Now, place your attention again on your heart. Feel warmth beginning to gather there, like sunlight spreading across water. This is the language of energy, emotion, in motion. If it helps, think of someone you love deeply, not to grasp or remember them, but to feel what love feels like in your body. Notice its texture: soft, radiant, expanding outward without effort. That feeling is coherence. That is the vibration that heals, connects, and creates. With every breath, let that warmth expand beyond your chest, beyond your body. See it traveling like golden threads, weaving through space, touching everything in its path. It doesn't matter if you visualize light, sound, or nothing at all. The important thing is the intention, the emotion. You are not imagining connection. You are restoring awareness of it. You are restructuring energy in the field gently, naturally, as you remember your place within it. As you send this vibration outward, don't try to control where it goes. Love doesn't need instruction. It knows the way. Simply allow it to travel through the invisible network to the places where fear lingers, to the hearts that have forgotten their own light, even to the parts of yourself still waiting to be held. This is not fantasy. This is physics expressed through compassion. When your heart emits a coherent frequency, love, gratitude, peace, it changes the electromagnetic field around you. That field then interacts with the collective field, influencing other hearts, other minds, in ways you may never witness. Science can measure it. The soul can feel it. You are participating in the renewal of the field every time you return to this state of presence. If your mind begins to wander, as it will bring it back to the breath, to the beat of your heart, whisper softly, "I am part of the whole, and the whole is part of me." Let that truth sink into every cell of your body, because it's not an affirmation you're repeating, it's reality you're remembering. You are not a single note lost in silence. You are the entire song learning to hear itself again. Sometimes, this practice may bring up unexpected emotion. That's okay. Tears, memories, even resistance, they're all signs that energy is moving, reorganizing itself into a new harmony. If that happens, don't force it away. Feel it. Breathe through it. Let the field do what it knows how to do. Balance itself. Energy doesn't need your control, only your permission to flow. The field heals through resonance, and when one heart comes into coherence, others begin to follow, like tuning forks, vibrating in sympathy across a silent room. Your calm becomes a lighthouse. Your peace becomes an invitation. Your love becomes medicine that travels farther than words ever could. When you open your eyes, keep that awareness with you. The practice doesn't end. When the meditation ends, it continues through your attention. When you walk, feel the ground beneath your feet as part of the same body that carries you. When you meet someone's eyes, remember that you're meeting another facet of the same consciousness. When you eat, realize the food is sunlight transformed into nourishment, the universe feeding itself through you. These are not poetic metaphors. They're glimpses of how energy truly moves. The more you live from this awareness, the more synchronicity you'll see: the right people appearing, the right words arriving at the perfect time, life unfolding with gentle intelligence. This is what happens when you're aligned with the network instead of struggling against it. Connection doesn't require effort. It requires remembrance. It's the natural state of the heart when it stops defending itself. So practice this daily, not as ritual, but as returning. Close your eyes. Place your hand over your heart. Breathe, and let your energy soften until you can feel the quiet pulse of everything around you. It's subtle, yes, but once you sense it, you'll never forget it. It feels like peace, but deeper, like home. But everywhere, that is the network. That is the quantum field, not as theory, but as lived truth. When you do this often enough, something begins to shift in how you move through life. You start to speak slower. You listen more deeply. You react less. and respond more. Because you can feel the threads, the delicate web of cause and effect, thought and emotion, energy and form, and you understand that every gesture, every word, ripples through the whole. And with that awareness, you become more deliberate. You stop adding noise. You start adding harmony. Your life becomes the practice. So, whenever you feel disconnected from others, from yourself, from life, return to this simple exercise. It will remind you that you're never cut off, only temporarily unaware. The web has never stopped holding you. The field has never stopped breathing you. All it takes is one conscious breath to remember. Because in truth, connection isn't something you create. It's what you uncover when you finally become still enough to feel the heartbeat of everything. That pulse has been waiting, patient, steady, eternal. It's not outside you. It's within you. And when you remember that when you truly let yourself feel the world breathing with you, the illusion of separation dissolves, you return, softly, to the simplest truth there is. You are never alone. You are the network itself, alive, radiant, endlessly connected. 10. You are a point of light in the web of the universe. There is a quiet truth that waits for you on the other side of all your striving. The truth that you are not a wanderer, lost in an empty cosmos, but a pulse of light within an infinite living web. Imagine, just for a moment, that the entire universe is a vast field of shimmering threads. Each thread hums with energy, connecting stars, trees, oceans, and hearts. Each vibration carries information, the whisper of thought, the pulse of emotion, the memory of everything that has ever existed. Now, see yourself as one of those points, glowing softly, breathing in rhythm with the whole. Your light may seem small at first, but it is not insignificant. Every time you choose compassion over judgment, gratitude over resentment, or presence over distraction, that light brightens. It ripples outward, sending coherence through the network, rebalancing patterns far beyond what your eyes can see. This not theory, not metaphor, but reality is how quantum entanglement transforms your life from the inside out. When you shift your vibration, you are not only changing your mood, you are changing your relationship with the entire field. Your consciousness sends signals through the invisible threads that connect all things, and those threads respond. The field reorganizes around your new frequency, as if the universe itself breathes differently because of you. You might not notice it immediately. The field moves quietly, but somewhere, an argument softens. A stranger smiles. A burden lightens. A new idea appears. Energy finds harmony again, because one part of the system you return to balance. We often think our impact must be loud or visible to matter, but in truth, the most profound transformations begin in silence. A single human being choosing to live from the heart. When I say you are a point of light, I don't mean that as spiritual flattery. I mean it in the most practical way. The electromagnetic field around your heart radiates beyond your body, constantly interacting with the fields of others. When your heart is coherent, when your emotions are aligned with love, gratitude, or peace, that field becomes organized, strong, and clear. It synchronizes the frequencies around it. This is physics, not fantasy. Coherence is contagious. Think of it as a candle flame, lighting another. No loss of energy, only multiplication of brightness. The more aligned you are within, the more your energy inspires order in the surrounding web. You don't need to fix people or preach wisdom. You only need to live as light. And light does what it always does. It reveals, it warms, it guides. If you close your eyes and visualize this web, you might see threads stretching infinitely in every direction. Silken lines of energy woven between galaxies, between minds, between the unseen and the seen. Now, Picture your light glowing gently at the intersection of those threads. Each time you forgive, that light expands. Each time you choose to breathe through pain instead of resist it, the light steadies. Each time you return to awareness, even for one conscious breath, you send a ripple through the cosmic web. A reminder that harmony is possible. You are not alone in this. There are countless other points awakening all across the field. Ordinary people living with extraordinary awareness. Every act of love, every moment of stillness, every quiet decision to stay kind in a harsh world, they all contribute to the same rising frequency. We don't have to know one another to be connected. Our coherence finds each other across distance and time. The field recognizes itself. Sometimes, when life feels overwhelming, it helps to remember this. You were never asked to save the whole network. You were only asked to tend to your own node to keep your light clear. Your vibration honest. Your heart open. That's your role in the great pattern. When you take care of your energy through stillness, compassion, truth, the field around you realigns naturally. And in doing so, you become a stabilizing force for others. Without words, without effort, your very presence becomes a permission slip for peace. People may not understand why they feel calmer near you. They might not realize their own hearts are sinking to yours. But the field knows. The field listens. Think of the times when you've walked into a room where someone was angry. You could feel it before a single word was spoken. Or the times you've stood beside someone who radiated calm, and you felt your own breath slow, without meaning to. That's the web responding in real time. Energy doesn't lie. It translates through vibration, not language. This is why inner work is never selfish. Every piece of peace you create within yourself adds to the collective harmony. Every time you bring your attention back from fear to presence, you reduce noise in the field. And the field, this vast, intelligent system of entanglement, uses that clarity to guide others back to balance. It's not about personal enlightenment. It's about energetic responsibility. In the darker seasons of life, when your light feels faint, remember that even the smallest glow shifts the geometry of the web. When you cry, but stay conscious. When you face uncertainty, but choose trust. When you kneel in grief, but whisper gratitude, the field registers it. You become the evidence that light can exist even in shadow. And perhaps, somewhere across the planet, another soul in despair suddenly feels a surge of strength they can't explain. That's how energy travels, invisible, yet undeniable. We are constantly feeding one another with frequency. The question is not whether we affect the field, but how. To live as a point of light is not about perfection. It's about alignment. It means returning, again and again, to the center of your being, to the still awareness beneath thought. From there, you emit clarity instead of confusion, love instead of fear. The outer world may still bring challenges, but you stop reacting as if they define you. You meet them as the sky meets weather vast. Unshaken, patient, and your steadiness becomes a kind of prayer. In this way, spiritual practice stops being something you do and becomes something you are. Each breath becomes a transmission. Each word, a vibration sent through the grid. When you walk through the world, imagine the air itself alive with filaments of light, the same energy that moves through your body, through the earth beneath your feet, through the stars above your head. Every thought you send, every emotion you hold, ripples across that matrix. So when you speak gently, the field listens. When you choose gratitude, the field rearranges. When you forgive, the tension in the web loosens, and energy flows again. You are not insignificant within the grand design. You are one of its luminous cells, essential, irreplaceable, and capable of influencing the whole. Sometimes, people say, the world is broken. But the world isn't broken. Our connection to it is dimmed. The web is still intact, waiting for us to remember our place in it. When enough of us return to that awareness, when enough hearts emit coherence instead of chaos, the grid begins to glow again. Collective harmony isn't achieved by force or ideology. It happens naturally, through resonance. When one light shines brighter, others remember how to shine too. So tonight, when you lie down to rest, close your eyes and picture yourself as a single point of golden light in the great fabric of the cosmos. See your glow expanding, touching the nearest threads, friends, family, strangers, then extending farther, to people you'll never meet, to corners of the world that need peace, to the quiet places that have forgotten it. Don't force it, just allow it, because your energy already knows the way, and as you breathe, feel the light return, not as something you're creating, but as what you've always been. You are a node of consciousness in the living network of the universe. Each time you choose love, the field brightens. Each time you return to gratitude, the geometry of reality shifts a little closer to harmony. Each time you remember that you are connected, you strengthen the invisible threads that hold everything together. This is how the quantum web changes, not through power, but through presence, not through struggle, but through sincerity. You don't have to move mountains. You only have to shine where you stand. And when you do, the universe infinite, intelligent, alive rearranges itself to match your light. Because in truth, it always has. You were never separate from the web. You are the web, learning to see itself as light, reality, as the mirror of connection. There comes a point in this journey after the seeking, after the questioning, after the long nights spent trying to figure it all out, when something inside you simply softens. Not because you have all the answers, but because you've begun to feel the quiet truth beneath them. Everything is connected. Everything has always been connected. When that understanding moves from your mind into your bones, fear begins to fade. Not instantly, but steadily, like fog lifting from a valley at dawn. You stop fighting the world as if it were against you. You stop protecting yourself from life as if it were a threat. And for the first time, you begin to sense the subtle current running through it all. The intelligence that breathes through every moment, every meeting, every particle of existence. You realize you were never separate from it. You were always part of its rhythm. Reality is not a machine made of random events. It's a living mirror. A vast and responsive field that reflects the vibration of your consciousness back to you. Each thought is a ripple across that mirror. Each feeling is a note that vibrates through the web of energy connecting everything. When you think, when you feel, you are not merely experiencing the world, you are informing it. This is the great secret of life. You are both the observer and the creator, the listener and the musician. The field responds not to what you demand, but to what you are. If your inner world is chaotic, the mirror shows you chaos, not as punishment, but as feedback, an invitation to tune your vibration. When your inner world is coherent, the mirror becomes clear, and reality begins to flow with a grace that feels almost effortless. What you perceive as coincidence is not random. It is coherence expressing itself. The moment you begin to experience this, even slightly, something changes forever in how you live. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start whispering, "What is this showing through me?" That shift from victim to participant, from resistance to awareness, transforms your relationship with reality. Life stops feeling like a battle and begins to feel like a conversation. A subtle dialogue between your inner frequency and the great field of creation. Every experience becomes a message. Every challenge, a teacher. Every joy, a reflection of what you've allowed yourself to feel. You no longer chase manifestation. You cultivate resonance. You no longer beg for miracles. You notice that life itself is miraculous once you are still enough to see it. When you look at the world this way, Even pain becomes meaningful, because pain, too, is part of the web, not as an enemy, but as a signal. It shows you where energy has stopped flowing, where the field within you has become tangled or resistant. If you can meet it with presence instead of fear, that knot begins to loosen. Healing doesn't come from escaping what hurts, but from re-entering it with awareness, from bringing light into the places where you once felt separate. And in doing so, you realize that every emotion, every experience, every person you meet is part of a greater intelligence, guiding you toward wholeness. You are not being tested, you are being tuned. It's humbling to realize how deeply our inner world shapes the outer. We spend years trying to control circumstances, to fix what's outside, only to discover that what truly shifts everything is the tone of our consciousness. When you vibrate with love, the world softens around you. When you radiate gratitude, opportunities seem to arrive as if by chance. When you rest in presence, time itself seems to expand, allowing life to breathe with you instead of rushing past. And when you fall back into fear or doubt, as everyone does, the field mirrors that, too. But even then, it's not rejection. It's the universe saying, "This is what you're broadcasting. Do you wish to continue?" Reality never punishes. It teaches through reflection. At some point, you begin to see that nothing is random, that even the smallest moments are part of a greater orchestration. The smile of a stranger, a song playing at the perfect time, a delay that turns out to save your day. These are not accidents. They are ripples of resonance, signs that you are in dialogue with the field. Life starts to feel like a dance again, not a choreographed one that you must master, but a natural rhythm that arises when you trust the music. You don't need to control it. You only need to stay attuned. The greatest relief of awakening is not that everything becomes easy, but that everything becomes meaningful. You stop looking for signs that the universe loves you because you begin to see that love is the fabric everything is made of. Every breath, every sunset, every challenge, every goodbye, they are all woven from the same luminous thread. That thread is consciousness. It is you. It is me. It is the living awareness, looking through every pair of eyes, listening through every ear, feeling through every heart. We are not separate observers scattered across space and time. We are the field itself, learning to know itself through form. So, when you truly feel this connection not as a belief, but as a lived experience, something profound happens. The walls between you and the world begin to fade. You stop saying, "This is happening to me," and instead whisper, "This is happening through me." You start to understand that your thoughts are not private. They're pulses of energy sent into the collective field. Your emotions are not contained. They ripple outward, influencing the geometry of reality. And when enough of us remember this, when enough hearts vibrate with awareness, instead of fear, the entire network shifts. This is how the world changes. Not through force, not through ideology, but through resonance, through individuals who become coherent enough to remind the whole that it is one. When you live in this awareness, daily life becomes sacred. Washing your hands feels like communion with the element of water. Sharing a meal becomes an exchange of energy with the earth. Looking into someone's eyes feels like gazing into another facet of the same consciousness. Even silence feels alive, full, shimmering, as if the universe is breathing quietly all around you. This is not imagination. This is perception clearing. The field was always alive. You are only beginning to notice. And so, reality is no longer the enemy you feared or the puzzle you tried to solve. It becomes the mirror of your inner alignment, not something to conquer, but something to cooperate with. When you understand this, gratitude arises, naturally, not as a practice, but as a way of seeing. You begin to thank life, not because it's always easy, but because it's always honest. The reflection never lies. It shows you where you are in the dance of energy. And with every breath, it offers you another chance to tune your vibration and shine more clearly. We are all points of light within this immense field, luminous, fragile, infinite. When you forget, others remind you. When they forget, your presence reminds them. That's the quiet beauty of being alive together. We awaken each other simply by existing in coherence. The more we remember this truth, the less we fight, the less we fear, and the more we create. Because the universe doesn't need fixing, it needs remembering. And remembrance happens not through knowledge, but through feeling the deep, simple recognition that every breath is shared, every soul is connected, and every life is part of one awakening consciousness. So as you move forward from here, carry this, knowing gently, reality is not outside you. It is you reflected. Every thought, every emotion, every act of awareness is a brushstroke on the living canvas of existence. And as you breathe, love, and awaken, as you allow your light to align with truth, that canvas changes. It becomes brighter, kinder, more whole. Because when one of us remembers, the entire dream begins to wake. And maybe that's what this all is. One infinite consciousness, dreaming itself into awareness. Through each of us, through every breath, through every reflection in this shimmering, interconnected field of life. We are not separate lights trying to find each other. We are one light, remembering itself, again and again, until the whole dream glows awake.